Hey guys, welcome back to our Python programming series. In last episode, we talked about Python's decision-making structure and we took a look at the if-else. In this episode, we'll go ahead and talk about Python's if-else and we'll continue to expand on that. And we'll talk about another expression within the decision-making. It's called the Elif statement. So if I go back to quickly to the previous episode diagram, the flowchart that we took a look. So if you recall this flow diagram, in this flow diagram, not this one, exactly this one flow diagram. In this flow diagram, there was a condition, and that condition has two outcomes. If the condition is true, we were executing certain line of code. If the condition was not true, then we were just executing certain line of code and then we were just coming out from the program. Let's say if you want to test multiple if conditions, I can go ahead and write multiple if expression, but that will not be a very good idea. So what we can do, we can make use of this new keyword elif. So the elif is just simply saying, okay, else if. That means, hey, if the previous condition was not true, then you try this condition before you really fall back to the false statement. So just to repeat it one more time, else if is saying elif is, if I have to expand the elif, it's else if. That means if this condition is not true, you go into the else block, but not in this else block, but I want you to try another if condition. So think of, if this condition is not true, you are branching out again and you are saying, okay, hey, if the previous statement was not true, then you really try a new condition before you really go ahead and execute this else line of a code. Because this else keyword really says, okay, hey, if nothing is met, you just simply go ahead and take a look what is written inside this else and go ahead and execute those line of code. So if I need to demonstrate, so let's take an example here. So if I go ahead and declare a variable where I'm saying x is equals to again 10, and I would declare another variable where we are assigning a y also a value of 10. And if you recall, if I have to just check these two variables, if x is greater than y, I could just make use of the if statement. If I say, okay, hey, is check if x is greater than y, then do something. And something would be just simply again, okay, hey, x is greater than y. If x is not greater than y, then in the last time we said, okay, hey, else probably if x is not greater than, that means y is greater. So that means y is greater than x. And go ahead and execute certain line of code. So if I simply go ahead and execute this program at this stage and see what happens. Our program is returning an output where it says, okay, hey, y is greater than x. But in reality, is it the case? Take a look again. What is the value of x? X is 10. What is the value of y? Also 10. So if I go ahead and take a look at this expression, hey, is 10 greater than 10? No, 10 is not greater than 10. That means this statement or this expression is certainly not true. But the system automatically went inside the else block and it said, okay, hey, that means if this is not greater than, we made an assumption saying, okay, hey, if x is not greater than, possibly y is greater. But is that the case? Is 10 greater than 10? Or is 10 less than 10? No, the 10 and 10 are really equal. So before we go and fall back into the else statement, which is like catching every condition's false thing, we can go ahead and introduce something called else if. So okay, hey, if this expression is not true, before you really go inside this else expression, I want to test one more condition. So what we can do, I can make use of a else if keyword. So the way to write the else if would be elif. So it's elif. In the elif, I can go ahead and type my expression, hey, if x is not greater than y, check is x equals to y. Hopefully you recall these operators from our operators lesson or the episode. So now if I go ahead and test this expression, we are checking, okay, hey, if x is greater than y, you simply go ahead and print this message. But now before you go into the else, we are introducing one more expression or one more condition that simply says, okay, if the previous one was not true, Let's try this statement now, or this condition. Again, this would go again an indent block of code. So I would simply go ahead and say, hey, x is equal to y. And okay, if this condition is not true, then you try another condition. If this condition is also not true, then you try the last else line of a code. That now we can assume probably, okay, hey, if x is not greater than y, if x is not equal to y, that means definitely x is smaller than y. So we could just simply say, okay, x is less than equal to y. Now let's go ahead and execute this program again. So in this case, what happened? The x has a value of 10, y has a value of 10. So we tested the expression, is 10 greater than 10? Definitely not. 10 is not greater than 10. So that means this condition was false. But before we went into this else block of a code, there was another condition to test that says elif or else if. Hey, if this is not true, it means if the previous condition is not true, you try this new condition. And the new condition says, hey, check, is x is equals to y? Is 10 equals to 10? And that's true. 10 is equals to 10. So that's the reason we say, okay, hey, x is equals to y. That's the result why you see x is equals to y. And we never went inside to this else block of a code because this condition was met and this condition was true. We executed this line of code and we just simply came out from this decision making process. So now let's try to flip these values a little bit. If I go ahead and make x is equals to 20, now if I go ahead and execute this program again, and the result says x is greater than y. So if I need to take a look, we are saying, okay, hey, is 20, x is 20 greater than y, y is 10, is 20 greater than 10, and that's true. So this block of code is true, and we executing this message which says x is greater than y, and we came out from the program. Now let's go ahead and simply change the value to 30 for the y. So now x has a value of 20 and y has a value of 30. Let's go ahead and re-execute this program. And this time the result says, okay, hey, x is less than equals to y. So if I go ahead and execute this program, read through this one, is 20 greater than 30? That's not the case. So this statement is false. So we went inside this else if. We are checking, is 20 equals to 30? That's not the case. So we came down to else, and else says, okay, x is less than equals to y. But the question here is equal symbol a good in this statement? No, because we are already checking for equal, so we should not be saying it's equal to x is less than y. So that's the correct way. So in this case we say, okay, hey, x is less than y. So hopefully you get the idea behind using the elif statement or else if. That means if the previous condition is not true and you need to check one condition or multiple condition, you could very well make use of the else if statement. So if we need to take a quick look example here, let's see if there's a good example that I can show you guys. So again, you can have one elif inside your program, or you can have multiple elif. Again, there is no such a restriction. You can make use of the multiple if statements. So if I take a look at this program where we have one else if and one else. Again, you could just compare multiple things. If you need to test multiple condition, you can go ahead and make use of the multiple else if statement. So that'll be all for this episode. In the next episode, we'll go ahead and talk about the decision making's last thing, which is the nested if statement. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you.